everybody, and welcome to this yoga class on hips and hamstring. So today we're going to be lengthening, warming up, strengthening the hips and the hamstrings, which are some of the biggest muscles in the body and some of the biggest joints in the body. And because they are some of our biggest and kind of strongest joints, they are where we store a lot of our tension. So if we can open out the hips, if we can lengthen out the hamstrings, we can release a lot of tension in the body and in the mind. So all we're going to need today is a small space, and if you have a mat, that's great, but we're not going to need anything else. So we're going to start today in child's pose, and if there's anything that's not comfortable for you during this practice, then please just take rest and back off from anything that doesn't serve you. So coming into child's pose, we're going to start to face the short edge of the mat, or if you're just in a small space, just come to find a nice comfortable position where you're standing onto the knees and the toes and the legs are just directly behind the knees. We're going to take a deep inhale in here, and as we exhale, we're going to slowly lower the bum down towards the heels. We take a deep inhale, and as we exhale, we start to walk the hands forward as we come into tabletop pose. From tabletop pose, we melt all the way down, bum to heels, and we start to walk the hands forward, the fingers forward, and we start to lower the chest and the forehead down towards the mat. Option to place a block or a cushion underneath the chin or the forehead to bring the ground further towards the face. As you come into child's pose, see if you can relax the hands and the shoulders down in towards the earth. See if you can allow the hips to release down, taking a moment to steady the mind and the breath. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. With each inhale, see if you can allow the back body to expand, and noticing how the back body contracts as you exhale. Take a few more breaths on your own here. On the next inhale, we're going to slowly walk back into tabletop pose by just moving the hands underneath the shoulders and the knees are underneath the hips. We take a deep inhale in through the nose and out through the nose. Really nice. So we're going to start to open out the hips gently. So on the next inhale, we're going to step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. If you're on the mat, it's slightly off the mat. And then we're just going to shuffle that left knee all the way back to start to open out the hips, open out that left hip flexor and the left quads. We're going to untuck the left toes, and we're just going to take a few breaths in stillness here in our low lizard. Looking down towards the mat, we're going to inhale through the nose and exhale out through the nose. So we're going to see if we can be guided by our breath as we move through the practice. Starting to notice that opening in the left quadricep and the left hip flexor, but also in that right hip, starting to open up, starting to warm up. On the next inhale, we're going to tuck the left toes under. We're going to keep the left knee on the floor, but we're going to rise the right arm up towards the ceiling as we inhale. As we exhale, we're going to float the right hand down towards the mat. Inhale through the nose, rising the right arm up towards the ceiling. Exhale to lower. Starting to move in your own time with the breath. Inhaling, twisting and opening the spine and the heart space in the chest. And as you lower, plant the right hand down. Let's take 3 more like this. Moving in your own time with the breath. On the next exhale, On your third one, you're going to lower that right hand down, and we're going to stay for a few moments in stillness. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the nose. On the next inhale, we're going to tuck those left toes under, and we're going to lift the left knee off the floor, starting to rock forwards and back on the left toes. So we're starting to warm up the left hip and the right hip with the synovial fluid, starting to warm and lubricate the hip. Take a deep inhale, and then as you exhale, let's lower that left knee down, and we're going to take the right knee all the way back to meet the left, coming into tabletop pose. Start to wiggle out the hips, wiggle out the shoulders. Shake the head slowly from side to side. Start to release any tension in the spine, any stagnant energy in the neck. Perhaps you want to rock forwards and backwards, just releasing any stagnant energy in any part of the spine and the hips. So we're going to come into lizard pose on the other side. So on the next inhale, we're going to come to our steady tabletop pose. And as we exhale, we're going to step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Then we're just going to steadily move that right knee all the way back to create some openness and some space in the hips. So just take a few moments to untuck the right toes. Find a comfortable position in lizard pose. Take a few breaths as you breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. See if you can notice that deep opening in the left hip, but also in the right quadricep and the right hip flexor. It's a really deep opening. On the next inhale, we're going to lift the left arm up towards the ceiling. And as we exhale, we're going to plant the left hand down towards the mat. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling to lower. Start to move in your own time with the breath. So you inhale as you lift, and you exhale as you lower. So we're starting to warm up the spine and the shoulders, creating quite a deep twist in the spine, which is a really nice way to release tension in the different parts of the spine and the neck. Taking a few more in your own time, inhaling to rise, exhaling to fold. We're going to take one more like this together. Inhale, and as you exhale, let's plant that left hand all the way down. Take a breath here in stillness, inhaling, exhaling through the nose. On the next inhale, we're going to tuck those right toes under, and we're going to lift the right knee off the floor, and we're going to start to rock forwards and backwards, starting to lubricate the hips with the synovial fluid, starting to release some more tension in the hips, and starting to really warm up the arms and the spine. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Let's slowly lower that right knee all the way down towards the earth. And let's take the left knee all the way back to meet the right. We come back into tabletop pose and we wiggle out the hips. We shake out the head slowly. We wiggle out the shoulders. We start to release any tension in the spine. Perhaps you want to just walk the hands forwards and stretch out the shoulders. Find anything that feels nice for you. So we're going to continue to warm up the spine, because if the spine isn't warm and flexible, then it will be really hard to open out the hips and the hamstrings. So all the different muscles and bones and joints are related. So if the spine is cold, it will be really difficult to kind of warm up the rest of the body. So we're going to start by really warming up the spine using cat-cow. So make sure the toes are tucked under, knees are hip width apart, hands are shoulder width apart, directly underneath the shoulders, and the knees are directly underneath the hips. As we inhale, we start to arch the spine and we look forwards, starting to radiate the chest and the heart space forwards. As we exhale, we start to round the spine and we look towards the belly button or the navel, pushing firmly into the hands. Inhale to arch the spine, looking forward. Exhale to look towards the belly button. Inhaling to round. Exhaling. Starting to move in your own time with the breath in cat-cow. Perhaps you want to close the eyes here. Starting to really listen to the breath and move with the breath. And see if you can allow the tailbone to be the thing that moves the body. The tailbone, that big bone at the bottom of the spine, see if you can allow that to move the spine rather than allowing the head to move the spine. So the tailbone ripples through the body. Really nice. Coming into tabletop pose once more. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. So we're going to continue by warming up the hamstrings and the hips. So we're just going to bring the right knee slightly closer in towards the center. And as we inhale, we're going to stretch the left toes and the left leg out behind us. And we're going to flex those left toes. Make sure we've got a firm foundation in the hands by pushing firmly into the pads of the hands. And to create a slight gripping motion in the fingers will really help protect the wrists. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. See if we can slowly and just gently start to engage the core to create some strength in the body. Inhaling and exhaling. Then we're going to start to point the left toes. From here, we're then going to twist in the spine. So as we inhale, we're going to take the left toes over towards the left side. And as we exhale, we're going to take the left toes over towards the right. Inhaling left, exhaling right. And you can see if you can take your head with you to look at the toes as you start to warm up and twist the spine. Let's take a couple more like this, remembering to inhale and exhale. Starting to also warm up the hips, and perhaps you want to start to create bigger motions with the legs, with the toes. And on the next exhale, let's plant the left knee all the way back down into tabletop. Wiggle out the hips to release any tension in the spine, in the hips, in the neck. Really nice. So we're going to bring the left knee slightly closer inwards towards the center of the body. And as we inhale, we press into the hands and we lift the right leg behind us and we flex those right toes. We take an inhale in through the nose and out through the nose, pushing into the pads of the hands to really protect the wrists and create some strength in the shoulders. We want to see if we can create a nice straight spine from the crown of the head all the way down to the tailbone, rather than rounding or arching. We want to create a nice straight spine. Start to point the right toes. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, let's take the right toes over towards the left. Inhale over towards the right. Inhale left. Exhale right. Start to move in your own time with the breath, warming up the hips and the spine. Starting to create some heat and some strength in the shoulders and the arms. Take a deep inhale. And on the next exhale, let's lower the right knee down towards the mat. Come back into tabletop pose and start to wiggle out the hips, wiggle out the head and wiggle out the spine. So from here, we're going to come into puppy pose, which is a really good way to stretch out the shoulders and the spine. So we're going to tuck the toes under, and we're going to take the bum back down towards the heels very slowly. And then we're just going to start to walk the hands all the way forward, away from the body. And we're going to allow the chest and the torso to sink down in between the arms and the hands. So maybe you stay here today. Option to place a cushion or some sort of block or book underneath the chin or the forehead. Or if it's available to you, perhaps you can bring the forehead all the way down towards the mat, starting to stretch out the shoulders and the spine and the neck. Take a few moments in stillness here. Option to come up onto the fingertips to really intensify the stretch in the shoulders and the spine. And on the next inhale, let's come all the way back up to tabletop pose. Deeply inhale and deeply exhale. Really nice. So we're going to come into a form of downward facing dog, but we're going to come into a slightly wider down dog, and this helps if the hamstrings are really tight. So we're going to take the knees out slightly wider than hip width apart, and we're going to keep the toes tucked under. We're going to push firmly into the pads of the hands, and we're going to try to splay the fingers out so that the forefinger and the middle finger are facing forwards. So we take a deep inhale in here, and then as we exhale, we start to lift the knees off the floor, and we start to walk the feet back, keeping the feet out wide as the mat if you've got one, and then we're going to start to pedal out the feet one by one as we come into a wide version of downward facing dog. When we come into a wide down dog, we can bend the knees as much as we need to because we want to keep the spine straight. Or if we have some flexibility in the hamstrings, we can start to push the heels down towards the mat. We take a deep inhale, and as we exhale, we start to lower the knees down towards the mat. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Inhale through the nose. Exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Let's take two more. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling. And this time as you exhale, we're going to stay in wide dog, and we're going to take a few moments just in stillness here. Allow the spine and the hamstrings to open. Perhaps you want to bend one knee and then the other if the hips and the spine are very tight. But we're going to start to really breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And feel free to keep the knees really bent. If this feels nice, bend the knees and keep the spine straight. Take a deep inhale. And then as you exhale, let's lower all the way back down to tabletop pose. Really nice, guys. Just wiggle out the hips for a moment from side to side. So we're going to take the pressure off the wrists in the next movement. So we're just going to tuck the toes under, and we're just going to slowly walk the hands back to come to stand onto the knees, and we're going to take the hands to the hips. So just take a moment to make sure that the knees are hip width apart. And just take a moment to roll the shoulders backwards, just releasing any tension in the spine and the shoulders. From here we can untuck the toes, and we're going to place all of the weight into the left knee, and then we're going to slowly see if we can step the right foot all the way forwards as we come into a low lunge. So in our low lunge, we want to make sure that front knee is bent. We want to make sure that the back foot is kind of straight behind the left knee. So we don't want to kind of twist the knee or the hip at all. So just take a few moments to find your comfortable position in your low lunge or Anjaneyasana in Sanskrit. So we're going to inhale in here, and as we exhale, we're just going to bend that right knee slightly more forward, starting to really open out that left quadricep, the left hip flexor. Inhale back to center. Exhale to bend. Inhale to center. Exhale to bend. This time as we inhale, we're going to raise the arms up all the way to the ceiling. Palms are facing inwards. See if we can relax the shoulders down away from the ears rather than hunching upwards. Can we relax the shoulders down the back? Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, bend that front knee. Inhale back to center. Exhale to bend. Inhale to center. Exhale to bend. On the next inhale, we're going to come all the way back up, and we're going to stay here for a few moments. Inhaling through the nose and out through the nose. So next we're going to move into some spinal twists. So we're just going to slowly bring the left hand forward and take the right arm back as we come into a spinal twist in our low lunge. As we inhale, we bring the arms back to centre. And as we exhale, we take the left arm back and the right arm forwards. As we inhale, we come back to centre. As we exhale, we take the left arm forward and the right arm back. As we inhale, we come back to centre. We repeat again, so this time left arm back, right arm forward. See if you can feel that twisting in the spine and also the opening in the chest. Inhale to centre. Exhale, twist. We're going to take one more like this. Inhale. Exhale, twist. Let's see if we can stay there with the left arm back and the right arm forward for 3, 2, 1. As we inhale, we take the hands back up to centre, palms facing inwards. And as we exhale, we float the fingertips down towards the foot and we frame that front foot. Just take a moment here to allow that right hip to release. From here, we're going to tuck the left toes under and we're going to see if we can lift the left knee off the floor once more, and we're going to slowly start to rock forwards and back, once again starting to warm up the hips and starting to lubricate the hip with the synovial fluid, starting to build strength in the legs, in the hips. Take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, lower the left knee down, plant the hands, then step that right knee all the way back to tabletop. Wiggle out the hips from side to side. Release any tension in the hips and the spine and the shoulders. And then we're going to keep the toes tucked under, and we're going to once again walk the hands all the way back and come to place the hands on the hips, and we come to stand on the knees. Take a moment here. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Slowly untuck the toes if you can. This time we're going to step the right foot forwards. No, we're not. We're going to step the left foot forwards because we just did that one. So we're going to step the left foot forward and we're going to come into low lunge on the other side. Nice. So from here we're going to make sure that left knee is bent and the left knee is just behind the left ankle. We're going to make sure the right foot and the right leg is directly behind the knee. We're just going to take our left hand and we're going to place it at the base of the spine. And the base of the spine is where your tailbone is. And I want you just to feel the lengthening of the tailbone, as imagining the tailbone is just rooting down, it's growing down towards the earth. And this helps to create a really nice straight spine. What we want to avoid is arching the spine so the tailbone sticks out. We want to avoid rounding the spine so the tailbone tucks under. So see if you can just imagine like a light at the bottom of the tailbone just going down into the earth. Really nice. Take a deep inhale here in your low lunge or Anjaneyasana. And as you exhale, see if you can bend the left knee. Start to feel the opening in the right hip flexor, the right quads. Inhale and exhale. Nice. As we inhale, we move forward. As we exhale, we move back. As we inhale, we move forward. As we exhale, we move back. Inhale forwards. Exhale back. Inhale forwards. Exhale back. On the next inhale, we're going to take the arms up towards the ceiling. Palms are facing inwards and we relax the shoulders down away from the ears to create that really nice straight spine. Rather than hunching and rounding, we relax the shoulder blades down the back. Take a deep inhale in here. As you exhale, see if you can take the left arm back and the right arm forward as we come into a twist. Inhale back to center. Exhale, left arm forward, right arm back. Inhale back to center. Exhale, left arm back, right arm forwards. Inhale back to center, and this time start to move in your own time with the breath. See if you can create a flowing motion with the breath and with the body, creating some fluidity, allowing the energy to move gently around the body. On the next inhale, bring the arms up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, let's plant the hands down to frame that front left foot. We come into a low lunge here. Take a moment to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. On the next inhale, we're going to tuck those right toes under. And as we exhale, we lift the right knee off the floor and we start to rock forwards and back once more in our low lunge. Really nice. Inhaling and exhaling. On the next inhale, let's lower that right knee all the way down. And then as we exhale, step the left knee all the way back, wiggle out the hips from side to side. We come back into tabletop pose. Really nice. Remembering to wiggle out the hips and the shoulders to release any tension in the spine. So this time we're going to come into downward facing dog. And we're going to make sure that the hands are shoulder width apart, the knees are hip width apart, and the toes are tucked under. We press firmly into the joints of the fingers and we push firmly down to protect the wrists. So we want the weight to be in the feet, the joints of the fingers and the palms of the hands rather than the wrists. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, see if you can lift the knees off the floor. Take the bum towards the ceiling and start to walk the feet back, starting to pedal out the feet as you come into downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana, walking the feet, pedaling out the feet, starting to lengthen out the hamstrings and the spine. Start to notice how this feels. Perhaps there's some tightness in the spine or in the hamstrings. Just start to notice where the tension is in the body. And then we're going to come into some stillness in our down dog. So feel free to keep the knees really bent if this feels nice for the hips and the hamstrings. Or if there's more flexibility, you can start to lengthen out the hamstrings. But the idea is that we create a really nice straight spine. Take 2 breaths here. Really nice. On the next inhale, we're going to walk the hands all the way back to meet the feet at the back of the mat. And then we're going to bend the knees and we're going to take hold of opposite elbows and we're going to rock from side to side to release the hamstrings but also decompress the neck and the spine. Allow the crown of the head to release down towards the mat. Take a few moments here to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. On the next inhale, we're going to place the hands on towards the thigh muscles, and we're going to take a moment here just to relax the shoulder blades back down the body as we come into a forward fold. We're going to exhale and we're going to release the fingertips down towards the mat. As we inhale, we start to straighten the legs and we place the hands back on the thighs. And as we exhale, we bend the knees and take the fingertips down towards the mat. And this time the chest can come over the thighs. And then we inhale, we start to straighten, lengthening the hamstrings. As we exhale, we start to bend. Inhale, we start to straighten. Exhale, we start to bend. This time as you stay down, we're going to put the hands onto the shins this time. And as we inhale, we're going to run the hands up the shins and all the way up over the knees, up towards the thighs. And as we exhale, we're going to reverse. Inhale. Exhale. Really nice. From here, we're going to keep the knees bent and we're going to walk the hands all the way back into our downward facing dog. And then we can pedal out the feet in our downward facing dog one more time. Really nice. So from here, we're going to take a pigeon pose. So all we're going to do is we're going to just gently lift the left leg behind us, and it doesn't need to come up very high, just lift it a tiny bit. And then as we exhale, we're going to bend the left knee and we're going to take the left knee behind the left wrist. We're going to lower it down. We're going to just wiggle that right foot all the way back. And we're going to come to lower the right knee on towards the floor. Now, if this left hip, this left bum is really wobbly or it's really high off, you can place a cushion or a block underneath the hip to stop you kind of wiggling and falling around. So if you want to kind of lessen the opening in the hips, you bring the heel closer towards the groin. So you can bring it really kind of tightly in, and this will lessen the intensity. If you want to deepen the intensity, you can start to straighten out that left leg a little bit more. And some of you, if you've got very naturally open hips, might be able to even create a right angle. But that depends kind of on the opening in your body and the tightness of the muscles around the hips and the spine. So wherever you are, take a deep inhale and look forwards. See if you can make sure that that back right foot is straight behind you. So really straighten the right foot behind you rather than it being twisted. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. This time we're going to slowly walk the fingertips forward. We're going to take a deep inhale and then we're going to come into some waves. So as we exhale, we're going to bend the elbows. As we inhale, we're going to straighten. As we exhale, we're going to bend. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to bend. One more. Inhale to straighten. And then as we exhale, perhaps we bring the palms down, or perhaps we bring the forearms down. But we're going to stay here for 10 seconds, so find a comfortable position for you in pigeon pose. And start to really breathe deeply in through the nose and out through the nose, feeling that really deep release in the left hip. Nice. So from here, we're really going to slowly walk the palms of the hands, all the way back towards the knee. We're going to tuck those back right toes under, and we're going to lift that right knee off the floor. Take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, let's step that left foot all the way back. Come to downward facing dog and just start to pedal out the knees, pedal out the feet. Maybe you want to really wiggle the hips from side to side to release any tension. Really nice. So before we come to pigeon on the other side, we're just going to do a little bit of an opening in the obliques, which are those really big muscles in the sides of the waist. So come into down dog in stillness. Take a deep inhale, and then as you exhale, see if you can twist both the heels over towards the right and both the toes over towards the left. Then from here, you're going to bend the knees slightly. Start to feel the opening in the left side of the waist. Inhale, come to center. Exhale, twist both the toes towards the right. Feel that opening in the right armpit in the right side of the waist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist left. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist right. And then we come all the way back into downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet another time. Breathing deeply. Really nice. And then from here, we're just going to lift the right leg up behind us, just a small amount. We're going to bend the right knee and bring the right knee behind the right wrist, and then start to wiggle that left foot, that left knee all the way back. Slide the left leg all the way back, making sure it's straight behind the body. Now, different options. If you want to lessen the intensity, bring the heel closer towards the groin. If you really want to intensify it, or you've got really open hips, you can start to bring the foot and the knee at a right angle. Also, if you're feeling that there's some real wobbling here and you're kind of wiggling from side to side, place a block or a cushion or a book underneath the right bum cheek. And then from here, we're going to take a deep inhale and we're going to take a deep exhale. We're going to take a few moments in stillness in our pigeon pose, starting to really deepen the stretch in that right hip and the right glute. On the next inhale, we're going to walk the fingertips slowly forwards. And as we exhale, we're going to bend the elbows, starting to come into some pigeon waves. Inhale to come up. Exhale to bend. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to bend. Inhale. Exhale. We're doing really well, guys. Really deep stretch for the hips. Inhaling, exhaling. Take one more inhale. This time as you exhale, plant either the palms down, or if there's an opening in the hips, perhaps you can even bring the forearms, but no pressure, just whichever feels nice for you. And remember not to force the pressure, force the stretch into any part of the body, because if you force the stretch, it actually starts to shorten and tighten the muscle with something called the stretch reflex. And so if you kind of stretch your muscle quite aggressively, it starts to contract and pull back because it's stressed and it's tense. So just find a nice position for you, either on the hands, maybe you walk the hands back, maybe it's the forearms, whatever feels nice, maybe the head comes down. We take a few breaths here in silence. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. Start to allow the back body to open with each inhale and contract with each exhale. On the next inhale, we slowly start to walk the hands all the way back closer towards the body. Take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, see if you can tuck those left toes under and bring that left knee off the floor. And then slowly we're going to come all the way back to tabletop by taking that right knee all the way back to meet the left, walking out the feet, walking out the knees. Anything that feels nice for you in these final moments of the practice. Walking out the hamstrings, walking out the hips. Take a deep inhale. And then as you exhale, start to lower the knees all the way back down to tabletop pose. Take a deep inhale in here and a deep exhale. So we're going to end the practice in child's pose today, the way we started. So we're going to slowly sit the bum all the way back down towards the heels, and we can start to bring the big toes together this time. So big toes together, bum down towards the heels. Option one is to take the palms of the hands down, and perhaps we melt the chin or the forehead down onto either a cushion, a block, or onto the mat. Option one. Or option two, if you want to take a more restorative child's pose, you take the arms behind you, palms facing upwards, and we lower the forehead down towards the mat. So experiment with both and see what feels nice for you as we take a few moments in child's pose. And as we come into child's pose, we start to reconnect back with the breath. We start to calm the breath and calm the mind down. Allow the mind to start to wind down, to rest. The body starts to absorb the practice. We send the breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Noticing how it feels here in stillness. Allow the hips and the shoulders to become heavy. Relax the forehead, the eyebrows and the jaw. And with each exhale, see if you can allow the hips to sink deeper down in towards the mat. Feel free to take a bit more time here. If you've got the time, you can pause the video. You can spend the next 5 minutes in either child's pose or lying down on your back in Shavasana. Or if you're ready to move, we're going to slowly, just really mindfully come all the way back up to tabletop pose. One last wiggle out of the shoulders at the hips. Inhale and exhale. And then very slowly we're going to come to sit the bum back down onto the heels and bring the chest and the torso back up. And we're going to take the hands into prayer. We're going to thank ourselves for practicing, for allowing the body to open, to become stronger and more flexible. And we say well done and namaste. And I hope to practice with you again soon. Thank you.